everyone, welcome to Lesson 5 of Kids Art Week. I hope you've enjoyed all the sidewalk crack exercises so far. And until now, lessons 1 through 4, we've been using the actual sidewalk cracks in our artwork. And today we're going to put these away and use the sidewalk crack as inspiration and basically make our own sidewalk crack. And we're going to make it out of acrylic paint and packing tape. So what you'll need for today is some acrylic paint, and you especially need black and maybe a red or a blue. You'll need a paintbrush. A nice thick one is very nice. You'll also need some clear packing tape. A black Sharpie or some kind of black pen that will draw on top of the tape, and some scissors. You'll also need a paper towel and a place to mix your paint color. You'll also need a piece of paper, kind of thick paper. I happen to have this kid-made modern heavyweight mixed paper, but anything that is kind of thick that will take paint. So for this assignment, especially younger kids, you might need the help of an adult or an older sibling or friend to help you with the packing tape, because it is kind of hard to deal with a little bit. But you want to get a piece about maybe 6 inches long and take some scissors and cut like 4 little pieces in the tape. So there's a piece there, a cut piece there, a cut piece there, a cut piece there, and a cut piece there. I'm going to use the bottom one to pull off my tape and put that aside. And then now what I want to do is kind of pull down on the tape so that I get a shape that's not like a straight square, but can be like a triangle or an angled shape. It doesn't have to be. You can do square ones too, but you kind of try to get some of these angled shapes. And now I'm just going to put it onto the paper. I had a little paint on my hand, and that's perfectly okay to have that happen. But basically you're going to overlap the tape on top of each other. And if you get a crease like that, just smush it down with your fingernail and move on to the next. So you need to do this about 5 or 6 times. The main reason you might need an adult is just to get it going. So remember, hold it up, take your scissors and cut like 4 little pieces, or maybe even 5. Rip it off the bottom one, and then pull toward you. What we're going to do is run over this with paint, and the paint is going to catch in all the little cracks, and then it'll be like a sidewalk crack. And you need a nice big patch of tape. And then also there might be a few places that you miss, and go ahead and make sure you cover those up. Oops. Okay, I think that's good for now. The next step is to take your black paint and pour out maybe about the size of a nickel, or the size of a quarter, or maybe the size of a coin if you're from a different country. And now you're going to make sure that you have a piece of paper underneath to catch all the extra paint. And then you're going to take your paper towel and kind of wad it up, and then use it like a, I don't know, sort of like stir it around the paper, and make sure that the paint goes into all the cracks and the edges. And it'll take just a minute to do that. Once you've got all the cracks and edges covered, turn your paper towel so that you have a nice, you might need a new paper towel. Let's do a new one. And then you're going to go and rub this hard. It's already mostly dried, so all you're doing is rubbing off most of the paint, but you're letting it stay in these cracks. Awesome. Now you might have noticed that in some cases it's pulled up a little bit, so I usually just take my scissors and cut that off or tear it off. But if you don't do that or forget, don't worry about it. We're going to be painting, and that will help cover that up. Okay. So now we're doing what we did with the sidewalk cracks. We're going to look at it, and this might be a little harder to find an animal, to be honest, just because the shapes aren't quite as organic as the sidewalk crack. But don't worry, you don't have to find the whole thing. Even if you find just a part of an animal, that will work. And look at it in one direction, and then turn it and look at it and see if there's an animal that comes out in another direction. Here's the third direction, and the fourth direction. And I think I kind of liked something that I saw here. And so I'm going to take my pen and draw some eyes in. Those are always the first thing I want to do. So this pen I'm using is a Sharpie. It's a permanent marker. And I'm using that instead of like a Crayola marker because of the plastic of the tape. And I'm also not following the lines 100%. I'm kind of going off a little bit, but I do like this thing. I don't know why. Okay, so there's my animal. It's going to be kind of like a bear, I think. So the next step then is to mix up a dark color. Now it doesn't have to be as dark as the black, and I think you want it to be a little bit different. Here's I'm going to make kind of like looks like I'm going to make a dark blue. But it's too dark, so I'm going to add just a little bit of white. Mix it all up. Now I can go this dark if I want, but I just want to have it be a little bit different from the black. So that's why I added just a little bit of white. Mix it really nicely. And then now I'm going to get my paper back. And I'm going to paint around where I've drawn. And just follow my lines. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about it being super neat. But the main thing is I want to get the area around my animal painted. And this should go pretty fast, and I'll show you why in just a second. So get it all painted. And then, this is kind of a fun part, use the back of your paintbrush and draw other stuff into the paint. And the reason it comes off so nicely is because it's plastic underneath. So you might want to like make an ear a little bit bigger or make a tail. Now once you get off into the paper, it won't work. So let's say you make a mistake, you can just paint it right over as long as you have time. And here's, oops, my tail. Maybe I want to make his foot a little different. And maybe I want to make some hair. Remember, animals have lots of fur and hair. I'm going to make his tail more scribbly. Okay, so now I need to let that dry before the very last step. Okay, so the paint is dry, and I realized I need to add just a little bit of detail into his eyes. And of course I could draw anything else I wanted, such as like the inside of an ear or whatever. But I'm almost done. All I need to do now, I mean, I could leave it just how it is and it's fine. The only thing is it's kind of jaggedy around the edges, and it's sometimes fun to cut things out into different shapes. So I'm gonna just kind of cut my animal out using the body as kind of a guide, but making it kind of like a fun shape. So there he is. And I wanted to show you a few others that I did before I started filming. Here's a red kind of like rabbit dog who's maybe in a little bit of a bad mood. Here's an elephant who's got a boot on. And then finally, here's another dog. So I hope that you have fun with this project. Don't forget to draw into the wet paint and let it show through, because that's how you get all this wonderful extra line work and ground and decorations. I really want to see what you do, so post on Facebook if you like, and thank you again for joining us this year for Kids Art Week.